So good afternoon and welcome to all of you who are joining us for this Vocation Café. Good afternoon for those who are joining us on this side of the pond, and good evening to those who are joining us in Europe and on the other side of the pond. So the time difference is, 6 hours. The whole concept of Vocation Café, it's a conversation. I met a number of people here in Vocation Café already, the different ways of life, religious sisters, married couples, our missionaries. And we talk about vocation as we see our life as an answer to God's call. And today as well, we continue that conversation, and I'm very happy that Father Shanil is joining me all the way from Rome, from our general house on Via Aurelia in Rome. And they already, you can see that it's dark around 8 o'clock, and he skipped for us even his supper to be here with us. So welcome, Shanil, and maybe just introduce yourself in a few words.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you so much. Well, you already said my name, Shanil, and I'm not challenging you to pronounce my surname, which is...
Can you say it for us?
Yes, that's Jayawardena.
Jayawardena.
Jayawardena, yeah. Of course, it has a significance. It's the literal meaning is somebody who is victorious, and who, yeah. So yeah, we are victorious in Jesus anyway. So yeah, I'm originally from Sri Lanka. It's an island. Let me say a beautiful island just below India, in the Indian Ocean. And the Oblate world knows that we have two provinces from Sri Lanka right now. One is Colombo and the other one is Jaffna. I am from the southern part of the country, so I belong to the Colombo province. And I come from a small town not far away from the capital city, which is Colombo. And so I am coming from a very small family. My parents and I have only a brother, one and only. So two of us. My father passed away about 11 years ago, 9 months after my priestly ordination. And yes, thank you. And my brother married with two kids and my mom. So that's in short about myself.
Do you have a chance to see them often? Like, it's quite a distance from Rome to Sri Lanka.
Yes, we who are working in the general administration at the general house, we are allowed to go once a year for a 1 month of vacation, 1 month vacation. So unfortunately, as we all know, I have not been home since 2019 August. So it has been almost 2 years.
You will have to make it up. I hope that will count to your next vacation, so you'll have 2 months or 3 months.
Let's hope so. And with all this quarantine and all that, we need that longer holiday this time.
I bet. Shanil, tell us a little bit about your personal vocation story. Like, how did you came to realization that you want to be the priest and an oblate? Tell us a little bit about that.
Jarek, I would say it's really interesting, and also one would say it's not so dramatic as some people would say. I know there are some vocation stories which are really, really, very, very interesting. But of course, in my case, it's quite important and quite unique to me. And let me say in short my vocation story. I studied in a school called De Maisonette College.
Surprise, surprise.
And the surprise is yet to come. Listen to this. I never knew who De Maisonette was when I was in the college. I will tell you why. The college, De Maisonette College, was started by the Oblates, of course, in 1930 by an oblate called Father Romold, a local oblate. And the Oblates ran the school only for 3 years. And then they handed it over to the De La Salle brothers, the Christian brothers. And so when I was in school, our founder was not even a saint, not even a, yeah, he was a blessed, of course. But for some reason, we did not have even a statue of our founder. It was there, but
and
it
was
was
called
not.
the Mazenod College.
It was called the Masonet College. And I'm ashamed today to tell you that I was thinking the Masonet is, probably a De La Salle brother, La Sallian.
Well,
So it's really interesting that, how God, put me into that, in that school. And today I'm proud to say that I studied, even under the wing, or under the shade of, let's say, or the shadow of our founder. Because there was this vocation director who came to our school when I was just 15 years old, or 14 years old. And then he invited, the guys, this is Oblate Live, we have missionaries, we have serving the poor and all that. And later I got to know he is Father Christopher, vocation director then. And I was, as if there was already a seed, as if there was already an intention, it jumped up, it burst out of me. And I immediately went home and told my mom, I want to go to the seminary.
how did she
And
react it?
you know what? She was happy, but both my father and my mother did not want me to join that young. It is really normal and very natural in Sri Lanka that a person joins the seminary when he's 14, 15, which I know is not the case in the West right now. I'm sure even in many other countries, but the system still works that way in Sri Lanka. So you join the seminary when you do not know what priesthood or what religious life is. So in my case, it was the thing. So my parents knew exactly that, and they told me, son, yes, you have the interest, but why don't you finish your college? Why don't you finish your schooling, and then when you are like 18, you can. I was very vehemently opposing that idea. I was telling, no, I need to go. I have to go. Today, looking back, at that in hindsight, I was thinking maybe it was God's plan that to put me into that system already when I was 14, 15. So that's how I joined the seminary. And let me tell you, when I joined the seminary, I was 14 years old and 14 days. 14 years and 14 days old. So I was very, very young. I did not know what religious life was.
So
But
would it be like a junior seminary, or
it is what we call the junior rate. Yeah, the junior rate. And the system still works the same way. I joined in 1995, so even after 25 years, it's the same. It
interesting?
doesn't mean somebody cannot join when he's 25 or 30 or even later, but you are recruited when you are very young.
Yeah. Well, it's a good start. It's like planting the seeds, right?
Exactly.
Doesn't mean
The
you
real
have
word, the
time to-
meaning of the word seminary,
Yeah.
seminare, to plant the seed. And so let me also share, Jarek, that when I was very, very young, probably when I was like 7, 8, I had been doing something that today I love to do. That is preaching at home, preaching to my family at home. My mother told me only later on that I used to, climb somehow and get onto the table, our dining table, and then I would preach.
When you were 4 or 5,
I was
4 or 5 years
probably
old.
5, 6 years old, yes. And this is how I would say God has been, preparing myself, that it has been there, without my knowledge. I do not remember even that I had been preaching like that. Not the mass. I was not celebrating mass as some kids would say, but I had been preaching. So no wonder that I
Interesting.
joined a preaching congregation.
Yep. There's no surprise here. Something that you love.
No surprises. And Can I show something that I brought to just to show to you and to our viewers?
Sure.
Um, it is this. It is a small dress that I wore when I was using. Look at the size of me now.
Yeah, it's really small.
So why I brought this here to show you all now, it came all the way to Rome because for me it's a reminder of my history and the way
Mhm.
my parents have dedicated their lives for me and for my brother.
Beautiful.
And when I was in this age, they thought of our schools when we were just probably 2 years old or 1 year old, my brother and I, because we have only a 2 year gap between us, my brother and I, who is elder to me. And they already thought about a good school for both of us. So they shifted to our small city where we are living now in order to get us, easier access to the Maisonette College.
Yeah,
So I was thinking it's really nice of them, and it's so wonderful for parents to think ahead that our
it's
kids should
amazing.
be educated in a Catholic school. As you know, Sri Lanka is a Buddhist country, and we are just 6% Catholics
Wow.
in the country.
I
So
wasn't aware of that. That like I mean I knew that the Catholic faith wasn't like a majority. But I didn't realize it was like 6%. It's really minority there, isn't it?
we are even after the Muslims and the Hindus.
Yeah. Wow.
And
It's
that's
interesting.
how exactly it's interesting. So that's how I joined the seminary. It's interesting in its own way, I would say.
Hmm. Great. So that's how your story started. We have the few Oblates I see joining and Oblate associates with us. There's Father Sal, who is joining us from Our Lady of the Snows from Belleville, Illinois. And we have Father Johnny, who is joining us across the town here in Hamilton. He's with us. He has a question for you, which we'll come back to it later on. And tell us, what did you do when? So you became an oblate. You joined the seminary. You were
Yes.
ordained, and
Yeah.
you must love preaching. So what was your ministry after ordination, like when you were ordained?
Yes, no surprises there. Probably my superiors recognized something in me. They put me into the what we call in Sri Lanka the preaching band of the Colombo province.
Okay.
We still continue, Jarek, what our founder and the first group of missionaries did, the mission preaching, the grand mission preaching. We go to parishes, we go to different churches around the country, and we stay in that place for, it depends on the population of the parish. It can be 3 weeks, it can be 1 month, or even 2 months, and then we visit the whole parish,
Hmm.
family by family, and then we gather them in different groups, like mothers separately, fathers separately, uh, children separately, and then there's a day for youth, a day for kids, and then the family day, the climax. So it's an interesting ministry. For 5 years until I came to Rome, I was a preacher in the Oblate preaching band in the Colombo province.
So it was really like the original, even missionaries of Provence before we became Oblates of Mary
Oblates,
Immaculate.
Immaculate, yeah.
That was their main ministry, and like the parish
Exactly.
missions, and exactly as you're describing, it took 6 weeks or so. They visited the families. They
Yes.
had different teachings for men, for women, for
Yeah.
youth. So that tradition still continues in Sri Lanka.
That tradition still continues.
Wow.
That's why I said we continue that original ministry of the founder and then the first oblates, as you said, even before they became the oblates. And not only us as Colombo province, but the Jaffna province, our
Hmm.
brothers in Jaffna province, they also have a different preaching band. So we, as you know, in Sri Lanka, we speak two languages. So we have these two preaching bands, one for Sinhalese speaking people and the other for the Tamil speaking people. So sometimes we combine together when we go to a multicultural parish.
Hmm.
Sometimes we join them, or one of the oblate missionaries preachers in from Jaffna province joins us to do a joint mission. So yeah, it's really interesting, and we are recognized in Sri Lanka mainly for this mission. We are
There's
known as preachers.
There's a wonderful. It's like a carving in San Antonio, Texas, of our Oblate Calvary, that the Oblates on the horses traveling and
Yeah.
doing the missions.
Yeah.
And I think you have a picture something similar to, maybe it's not the Calvary, but the
It
band and
is. It is.
preaching band.
This is, as you know, I'm already some might have guessed that I'm a sentimental person. I have this small T-shirt that I wore
It's
when I was
lovely.
just 1 year 1 year old kid, and then this one I brought all the way from Sri Lanka to remember my first ministry, my first Oblate ministry,
That's
first
wonderful.
obedience as a preaching. So we were 5 of us at this particular parish, and this particular girl, I can't remember her name, probably she was like 15, 16 years old.
Mhm.
She did this wonderful work of art. Actually, it's not a painting. She drew them and then cut those figures one by one, and then
Okay,
pasted onto
that's
another
lovely.
board. Yeah, and so as you can see, I am the tallest. At least I can be proud that I am the tallest of the lot.
The one in the middle.
The one in the middle was Father Lily, the superior.
Okay.
The superior. Probably some of our viewers know, because he was in the UK for some time before he went back to Sri Lanka. So.
Okay. That's lovely.
So she's very good in recognizing even the different types of hair, as you see.
Yep.
So what I wanted to tell you was people do appreciate our mission, because I have met people. I have personally have been guiding them. Some people who had not done a confession, the sacrament of confession, for over 30, 35 years. So they come for mission. And even in Sri Lanka, I think, for that matter, any country in the world, you don't find very many men coming to church. But during our mission, I tell you, we filled the church with men only during that
Wow.
week of men.
Well, I'm not surprised that you have so much passion for preaching and that kind of ministry. But I think that's what happened to you with that passion. You took the next step. And here we have a question that will lead us to it. Father Tony asks, so what is your ministry now?
Okay, Father Tony, my ministry now is I'm the communications director, the director of Oblate Communications here in Rome. As we know, we have several general services. They are called general services. One is the postulation, the other one would be Oblate Studies, Father Chardi, the other one is General Archives. So my general service is General Service of Oblate Communications, and I basically maintain all the communications work. Not maintain is not the right word. I'm supposed to be the animator of Oblate Communications, yes.
So, like, what exactly would be involved in your ministry? Like, are you writing letters and sending them out, or are you doing like social media or digital presence, or like?
Okay, Jarek would know definitely the language that I am speaking, the communications language, since you are a communicator yourself. That communications is a vast field, but here, even though we call it a general service of Oblate Communications, we are still growing in this department. I would say we are not like probably we are not like Jesuits or Salesians, who are really very well organized, and they have a history of communications. But we are still grooming in that line. So I am the only person who manage the website. In that way, I can be called the webmaster. The website is omiworld.org. We know. So I am the webmaster, and I am also the social media manager, which can be two different jobs in any other, bigger congregation or a bigger institute. So I'm the webmaster, the social media manager, and I also the publisher of the OMI information our newsletter, and the communique, which is the official, the only official, let's say, letter or the newsletter which is published from Rome, our general house, the communique from the central government, and also I am supposed to be the one who is producing video audio productions. So in that way, I can be called the audio video. How to say that, the producer or the,
I guess. But
yeah.
yeah. So you
So
have lots of work on your plate. How did it came up that you ended up in Rome? Like that you switched that ministry? How that happened?
okay, my predecessor, Father Nino Bucca, Italian, many of you know, he had been doing this service. He had been doing a wonderful job here for almost 11 years, and they had been searching for a younger person. They had been searching, probably, if possible, possibly somebody from the southern hemisphere, either from Asia or Africa, just probably just for a change, and to introduce us also to general services. And I must also say that I had not done any formal studies on communication, so mass media or information technology, for that matter, when I was in Sri Lanka. So when Father General had been asking our provincial at that time that I need a younger person, Father Provincial had thought of me, probably because I do not know, probably because in the preaching band, when we were in our preaching band, we were doing a lot of skits, and songs, and little video productions, and then things like that, probably short dramas, things like that. So I have that knack towards the communications as well, although I had not done any formal studies. So probably that's what triggered my provincial to ask me if I could be the one to be the director of communications. And of course, I did not know very much the how large this service was at that time, but I really loved this work, and I said yes. But the problem is, I do not know how to animate without any studies on this field. And then Father Provincial said, no, don't worry, they are going to offer you a course. You're going to the university there, and you can do the degree, and while doing the degree, you can also serve at the general house. So that's how I ended up in Rome.
That was helpful, especially the study. But the one thing I just thought, like you are entering the service of the general congregation, like wide world.
Yeah.
So obviously, it's the question of languages. Like,
Yeah.
how do you manage, especially like you have those three official languages of the Oblates: English, Spanish, and French. Do you know them all, or do you have people who are helping you, or like how that works?
Yes, that was a challenge. I was thinking, should I learn all these three languages? Not just learning it. Should I learn it to a perfection? And they said no. What is important is that you understand. So I would say I do understand. I did a little bit of studies in especially French. I was there for some time in our mother house in Aix. Spanish I had not, but with Italian, you can understand something. But we have helpers. I have collaborators who work with me, especially for translations. There are oblates who work with me for the translations of the news articles and for other things. So that doesn't mean that I should not learn the other languages, especially French and Spanish. So I'm still studying them in a way,
Yep, it's a learning moment.
Yeah.
There is a question here that just gonna go to it shortly, but like I remember how technology and even our in the communication, how rapidly this is changing. Like, and within the years, when I went to seminary, like in the end, you have to write your book for the master's degree. And I remember when I went there, the deacons wrote their paper on the typewriter. And over a couple of years, we've got it was like a computer, but had only word processing software on it. So all you could do on it was to type you were typing on the keyboard, and you had on the screen, but nothing else. So you still have to count the lines, how many lines you have to say for the footnotes and all that stuff. And I was finishing 6 years later on Windows 95.
Yeah.
So you can see in 6 years from typewriter to Windows.
Yeah.
And this is changing so rapidly. And I'm sure
Yeah.
that when you took on, what is the biggest difference that you saw in the development of the communication and social media since you went to Rome and right now?
When I first started this job, this service, what I found was, with all my respect and appreciation of Father Nino, our social media platforms had not been that developed, because that was the beginning, towards 2013-14. Although social media has been already around and very, very developed, we have not been so much into it. So when I made that observation, my first intention was, we need to get into this. We need to put our feet on social media. And that's the biggest difference, I would say, today, because I thank God that I had that little bit of a wisdom from the Spirit to really get into Facebook, especially at that time. Of course, today we have other platforms like Instagram, but I was really into. So when I started, our Facebook followers were like 1,000 plus. We have now 10,000 plus, I would say. So that is the biggest difference I see. And today I think we need to understand, thanks to our holy fathers, for Francis and also his predecessors, who really insisted that this is the new Areopagus, that we need to be here. And I really am convinced of it. I'm sure you as well, Jarek. So that had been my main challenge, and I'm still trying to discover. Even this is a learning process for me as well, as I already said that I had not been an expert when I started this job, this service. So I had to struggle also to learn, and also to learn with experience. So we are successful to a certain extent, because we could animate almost all the Oblate units today. If not for a website, I think almost all the Oblate units have a social media platform. They are in social media. So that's a good sign. That's a good sign.
There is for the Oblates, the most important gathering happens 6 years, when the delegates from all over the world come for the general chapter. And the last general chapter, which was 5 years ago, the next one is coming next year, showed the 6 directions for the congregation at this particular time of the history. And one of them was social media and our presence and evangelization through social media. So I have a couple of questions here. This one is from our provincial of OMI Lacom Canada, Father Ken. Good to see you, Father Shanil. Thank you for the good work you do in communications for the congregation. I wonder if you could speak a little about the role of social media, specifically the social media in evangelization and vocations. And also Father Sal echoes the same question, like, how can we use social media to help vocation ministry? So evangelization and vocation, how do you see that being used or utilized?
Thank you, Ken and Chavez. And yes, we can discuss this topic for hours and hours. But I think
Yes, we can, I know.
In short, what I would say is, wherever the people are, there we should be. And where do the young people live today? I mean, if I use that word "live," they live most of their time with their social media or their mobile gadgets. So we should be present there. I'm not telling them that we should substitute the church-going tradition to be limited to a screen or to social media. But this is where people, especially the young people, they see the world through the eyes of social media, and we should be present there in order to tell them there is also this side to our life. There's also spirituality, there's also life in Jesus. And this is where I see the meaning in my own ministry as well. And for evangelization today, what is really important is not to tell, especially as priests and religious, not to tell ourselves, oh, no, 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 that is not for us, that is for the young people and they should come to us. No, I would say we should go to them. So where are they? They are here. Let us go there. Let us move with them. That is why I am very convinced. That's why I say that it is not that it is we have to be in social media. No, I would say there is nothing called in, as if we are outside and we are getting in. We are already there. We are already there. We are already, you know, we are
That's so
swimming.
true. And I
Exactly.
think that that conversation, as you said, that we can talk for hours about it, because especially it helps us through the experience of the pandemic, like when it became the social media and digital presence became a necessity, like because we couldn't gather it, so we went on Zoom for different gatherings. And here in OMI.com Canada, we had an excellent experience with our discernment process moving forward, listening for the Spirit, when we had number of meetings within the province on online because we couldn't meet physically. But it doesn't mean that they're gonna replace the regular meetings. The thing is that the digital church, digital faith, whatever we would call this, is there and it's not going away. But I totally agree with you what you said. It's going out. Like, even when you mentioned earlier about that preaching band, you were visiting families at home. You were meeting them where they are, and young people are on social media, and many people are on social media. So it's called to be there, to be present. I totally agree with you on that part. Like, how do you find, because you're alone director of the communications there, like how do you manage all of this? So you have website, you have Facebook, you have Instagram as well, and like, are you able to manage, and 3 languages to add to it?
Yeah. It is tough. It is tough. I must. I must also thank all the Oblate communicators around the world who really encourage me. I take this opportunity to thank. There are many Oblates who are very experienced in this field, more than I am. I must tell that. I must say that. But in spite of all that, there is also a lot of collaboration. So sometimes the Oblates, they send me, Shanil, there's something like this, share that on your Facebook. Or sometimes they on social media language, they tag me, or they tag Oblate World or in my world. And then also I see also Fernando Velasquez in the chat box. So we also started with Roberto Carrasco and Fernando Oblate Voices, which is also very popular among the youth and the young oblates. So there is a lot of collaboration. There's a lot of collaboration with the oblates, and also there's a lot of support from the house as well, from the community. But at the end of the day, yes, it is tough. It's not easy to manage everything alone. I hope that the general administration regards this, they all regard this as one of the most important ministries. I am sure that in future this ministry, my service, will grow further and farther, and there'll be more people working together. And I also should thank, I have an internal committee here, Father Peter Stoll and Father Diego Saez, who also kind of they are my they guide me, they sometimes suggest things. So yeah, I have an internal committee as well. But of course, for work as such, it is myself, it is me.
No, that's wonderful to have someone. Like, I honestly believe in the importance of ministry as a team, as we do here in OMI La Compa with the vocations, realizing that you cannot run it as a lone ranger. You have to have a team for it. which I'm really grateful for it, and I can see the difference how we can work together. The same goes for communications.
Yeah.
And I remember we had you talk about collaboration, and I think it's gonna go even farther. We had you organized that a couple of months ago, or maybe that was already longer, but we had a Zoom meeting of all the Oblates and Oblate associates and friends who were
Yeah.
somehow involved in communication, in
Yeah.
communicators.
Yeah.
And I really appreciated that, just to look across the screen and to see the people from all around the world
Yeah.
passionate about evangelizing through social
Yes.
media. So I think we should do the
Yes.
next one, by the way.
We should. Thank you. Yes. And I really appreciate that, because, sometimes when you are alone, when you are not challenged, when you are not, when you do not receive feedback,
Yeah,
it's tough on you. So it's really helpful for me when you suggest things like that. And yeah, even that suggestion was originated from an Oblate associate who works in our Polish province for
yeah,
the Missioni Drogi, Michal, who suggested, why don't we do something like that? Then only I got the interest and then
great.
organized it. Yeah, we are going to have another one.
No,
And
it's great.
coming back to Jarek, if I have a minute
Yep.
about social media and communications and vocations, as Father Skin and Chavez asked. I had two experiences at least. One, when I went to South Africa to do a documentary on the Oblate history, which is not yet published. We are working on the post production. I met a guy who is now in the novitiate, and
Mhm.
guess what? He got to know the Oblates through the OMI World website
Wow,
and our
that's
social
wonderful.
media
Yeah.
platforms. So I was thinking, oh my gosh. And then I met another guy here, I cannot remember from which country. He is also in one of our formation houses, and he also got to know, and he studied in Rome later on. He also got to know the Oblates through our social media. So there is a lot that we can do for evangelization and for vocation promotion. Uh, we are doing a lot more than from my office here in Rome. Just like you, Jarek, there are so many Oblates in the Oblate units who are doing a lot for vocation promotion in their own provinces or Oblate units. So that's really wonderful to see that we are really engaged.
Yeah, it's a field that we have to be present, and it's a call. Like, and I think that's what I mentioned earlier. Like, the general chapter recognized this as a call that we have to be present and minister in the social media. So, Shanil, one more thing I would like to ask you, as we are talking about the vocations and your own experience of vocation and ministry that you have. If we have a young person, young man, watching on or listening and wondering, asking the question, well, maybe God is calling me to do religious life as a priest or brother, as an oblate. Like, what would be your advice to a young person like that?
Keep the fire burning, keep that interest, keep on searching. God may be calling you definitely for this way of life. And what from my own experience, I was always searching. I had that passion, and I still
Mhm.
have that passion to serve God, to serve that people. I think our founder has very rightly said, in his own words, help me with that, Jarek. Do not be. Um, there is a word that he used. Like do not be candles which are not like
Oh,
half
I know
burnt.
what you're talking.
Yeah,
Yes, if you want to burn, burn brightly, or
exactly. There,
like,
there, there- there's something like
or
that
get
which
out.
is,
Okay, what he said. If you if
yes,
you if you're going to burn, burn brightly or get out.
or
Like,
get out. So I think that should be the spirit that we all should have. So to those people, the young people who want to
there we
join,
go.
I would
That's
say,
talking about collaboration,
yes, the
smothering wigs.
smoldering wigs. Thank you. We should not be smoldering wigs.
There we
Thank you
go.
so much. So we have to have that passion, that fire burning. That is the way to go.
It's wonderful. Well, Shanil, thank you very much for joining us. I know it's a little bit late in your place, and we have in the middle of the day. Really appreciate that you took this time, and I wish you all the best on your ministry, and especially in the social media, but as well proclaiming the gospel. That's you have the tools, and blessings on you. And say hello to Father General. I know that he's back in Rome
Yes,
after
yes,
a long trip and surgery, so wish him the best from us. We are glad that he's back home and recovering nicely, as I've heard. And
yes,
I tried to get him on Vocations Café, but he said, well, maybe not yet. That's not the right time because what he was going through, but hopefully we'll get him
yeah.
before the general chapter, because that will be the next one. Well,
Yeah,
thank
and
you to
thank you, Jarek, also for thinking that I can be a possible person to be in your show or this broadcast. I really appreciate all what you do through social media, and let me also say that another victory that I had was to convince Father General that he should have a Facebook page.
oh, there we go. That's
And
true.
he had been not been maintaining or writing to it lately, given his health conditions, but I'm sure he'll get back to it. And of course, as you know, we also have the OMI World website, the application, which will be renewed this year. We'll have a new mobile app, and also we have a studio here in our house. So I invite all the viewers to frequent to our social media platforms and also to our website.
Absolutely. Facebook is OMI World, and
Yes. And
website is omiworld.org. Correct?
and also we are on Twitter and Instagram as well. Probably not to the extent that I would love to. I would have loved to do more on those two social platforms more and more. But yeah, we'll
Let's hope it chance.
yeah.
Well, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you to all of you who are watching live, and those of you who will be watching a recording of it as well. It will be here published on Facebook and later on YouTube as well. Stay tuned for the next guest that we'll be inviting. When I have that all set up, I will let you know. And you can always share with me. I really appreciate suggestions who you would love to see on our Vocations Cafe. So, Shanil, thank you very much. You have a good night, and I'm sure we'll be in touch.
Thank you very much. Thank you once again. Thank you.
Take
Thank you
care.
to all of you. Take care.